E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Natural Health and Wellness. On Wednesdays, we cover Mentoring Our Youth. And on Thursdays, our new show, Ideas Worth Knowing. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. To be able to watch our television show on your favorite device, please go to e360tv.com and download the app for your favorite device. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and donnaguinouard. Along with our host, Beata Severin Reed and Emerson Brantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinois Balconi Weda. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And with me today, you can see Jeremy's with us, and Emerson is with us. Get my tongue wrapped around my eye tooth there and couldn't see what to say. And
I've been called a lot of things, Jim.
Is that right?
Emery, Emmett, but never.
You got to add that to your list.
Never. What did he say, Jeremy?
Yeah, you know what?
Jeremy?
I thought he called you Jeremy, and that's what you were offended at.
No. You said Jeremy. He said Jeremy. And he said like Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy. Yeah.
I think that was an Jeremy.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a direct result because today we're going to be talking about brain health, and I studied real hard for it. And, well, anyway, that's how come I said Jeremy instead of Emerson. If that clears it up for you folks out there in TV land.
Absolutely. Yes, clear as mud, Jim. Clear as mud.
We got Jemerson and Emery.
There we go. Yeah.
I like that. Jemerson and Emery.
Yeah, brought to you by the big three, me, myself, I, and him, and her, and everybody else.
And they and them.
And they and them. There we go. There we go. We're so glad that you joined us today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be sharing some great information with you when it comes to your brain health. And also, one of the things that I love about the products we're going to be sharing with you, what they've done for us, is that they fight free radicals in your body. That is huge, isn't it, Jeremy?
Absolutely. It's one of the most important things we can do for our longevity and our overall health.
Mm-hmm. And Emerson, you suffered a traumatic brain injury, and
yes.
You're taking some vitamins and minerals specifically to help you recover from that. And that's how, you went to your doctor and showed him what you were taking. And what did your doctor say about when he looked at the contents of the package?
He looked down the list, and he took several minutes, and he named them off and commented on how on each one that directly impacted my brain health. And that was very reassuring because there's a lot of claims that are made out there. But Jim, I'm not afraid of doctors. A lot of people are, and I'm very, very, very thankful for the doctors and the surgeons, the team of people when I had a traumatic brain injury. And I just hold them in the highest regard. I've always said though that, and no aspersion to the people in the medical community, because again, I hold you in the highest regard. But an awful lot of Western medicine teaches, as one of my primary physicians, who was a licensed medical physician, said to me, it teaches to cut, poison, or burn. And it doesn't teach healing. It doesn't teach the things that make a difference in terms of our lifestyle, which includes our nutrition. And one other thing, and then I'll get off my soapbox there.
Sure.
Many of you who've watched the show have, for a while, know that I have done quite a bit of work in the brain science, neuroscience field. Clients of mine, not me, but people with Scripps University and with Harvard and others. And I've also done work in the DNA space with clients who are very, very involved in the research in DNA. And an awful lot of that research revolves around our brain chemistry. And the things that affect it are our lifestyle, which includes our nutrition.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything we take into our body affects the brain chemistry that we have. And a big part of my healing is focusing on taking care of the brain chemistry, not just the things I put into my brain mentally or emotionally, which Jim, you and I have talked about in the past, right?
Sure.
But also in terms of the nutrition and the lifestyle choices going forward. So,
Emerson,
Yeah.
I got to say the same thing that you just said, because when I was in the hospital after the heart attack and the bypass surgery and all that, the doctors, the nurses, the medical staff that attended to me were superb.
oh, mine too. Yeah.
I was treated like a prince in there. Every single time the little nurse or one of the medical personnel would walk into my room, first question out of their mouth is that, "Are you in any pain?" And looking back, I just answered honestly. I said, "No, I'm not in any pain." Looking back, I could have said, "Yeah, I could have had a cheap thrill and not even remember being in the hospital," But it's really amazing how much care and how much knowledge and the medical care that we receive today. My goodness gracious. It wasn't there for my dad.
No.
It wasn't there in the 70s. I lost him few days before Christmas in 1978.
How old was he, Jim?
He was 66 years of age.
See, I lost my dad when he was 60, and I lost my mom when she was 61.
Yeah.
And they
it's
were
tough.
5 weeks apart.
And
A lot
going
has changed.
and studying with many cardiologists, there was so much of information that we don't really learn about or hear anything about. And, Jeremy, I know you're very much aware of this, is that, like all of the food that we eat today, it does not have the same amount of vitamins and minerals in it that the food did, the crops did, that we ate decades ago, just a
this is
few
true.
decades ago, because the earth cannot replenish the minerals and vitamins that it loses.
Plus, Jim, it's picked early,
Uh-huh.
and it's shipped.
Yes.
And it may be a week or 2 or 3 or longer before we actually eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are an awful lot of factors. Jim, when we were kids, there were certain fruits and vegetables that you got
At certain times
of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's when they were picked. Well, now we're not just picking them here
Mm-hmm.
and then shipping them for a week or 2 or whatever it
Yeah.
takes across the country. During our winter time, it's summer in the southern hemisphere, and they figured out, we can be doing plantings down there, and we can be shipping them here. Well, they may be weeks old before we. are able to get them.
Oh, yeah.
And every single day that passes, they lose some of the nutritional value that they have.
Yeah. Another thing that's very evident when you walk into a flower shop. The other day, I picked up a little pot of this little rose bush, and roses don't have the smell anymore.
That's right. They're
And
hothouse.
Yeah, one of the reasons why is because they have, made hybrids for them to combat with disease and so on and so forth. But when you monkey with stuff like that, you also alter its genetics. And that is true right across with the food that we eat today. And Jeremy, I know that you have done quite a bit of research in that area because you were a diabetic, were you not?
Oh, I was, yes, absolutely. And I think what you guys are saying is spot on. Western medicine, when you need those doctors, you need those doctors. When you need
Yes.
those professionals, you need them, right?
And we should honor them and respect them because they spent
Exactly.
years preparing and learning
Oh, yeah.
about the
Exactly.
physiology of the body. Yeah.
When you have an acute illness or a traumatic injury, you don't want to rely on natural medicine, right?
No.
You want these trained professionals who are going to because of their training and their education and their experience be able to help you in that immediate moment. I think where natural medicine comes in is in helping you to not need those Western medicine providers so much, right? Hopefully not needing them for that heart attack if you're taking care of it, not needing them for the Parkinson's or the Alzheimer's, because instead we're doing those things on a daily basis. It's really a lifestyle. It's really interesting. I was taking a course on autoimmune diseases last week, and one of the doctors, she kept saying that people just assume that it's in your genetics, that you're going to get this because your father had it or your mother had it or anything like that. But she said that's really not the way that we want to live our lives. That our genes load the gun, but our environment pull the trigger, right? So
that's a great way to put it.
So that's the thing, that just because you have a genetic predisposition for something doesn't mean that you are doomed to get it, right? That these things are triggered by things like our nutrition, hormonal imbalances that are oftentimes caused by the foods and stuff that we're eating and the toxicities. The toxic environment we're living in. Stress can trigger the genetic ammo for an autoimmune reaction. So all of these different things come into play in our body. So if we can instead do the things like nutrition and natural stuff to improve our likelihood of us not getting cognitive decline, right? A lot of people say, well, I'm just getting old, so my memory is going to go bad. Well, the problem is that in the areas that you see where we have like blue zones, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a blue zone. But blue zones are areas of the world where we have a very high octogenarian population, right? These people are not just living long, they're living very healthy and vital lives, right? They're not miserable in their 100 years. They're living very good lives. And so what we're finding is that your choices and your lifestyle are determining, they're not experiencing the same cognitive decline. However, in places like Western society in the United States, where we used to see the cognitive decline in the 70s and 80s, we're now beginning to see it popping up in the 50s, the mid 50s. And so what is it? Is it because of genetics? The genetics didn't really change, right? It's the other factors that are triggering these things like cognitive decline, like Alzheimer's, like dementia, like Parkinson's disease. And so if we can educate and we can do those lifestyles, then we can help to reduce the amount of those issues.
It's interesting you mentioned the blue zones. My wife and I actually have begun watching a thing on Netflix on where this fellow has traveled to blue zones all over the world. And we were sharing this with my youngest daughter, who was a licensed nutritionist, decided that she wanted to teach English as a second language for several years, and did a zig instead of zag. The first place she chose was Costa Rica. And in watching this show, we were sharing it with her. She was so excited we were watching this show, this series. And she said, that's why I chose Costa Rica as my first place to go. I wanted to go to that blue zone. I wanted to see that myself. see these centenarians, these people who are in their hundreds, in their 90s, and they have people in their 90s and hundreds who are out there chopping wood and doing stuff that a 30-year-old would be going, this is too much for me. So it's very true. Our environment, which includes everything that we take in, everything that we live around, the stress, the anxiety, all of that, our physical environment is as big, if not bigger, factor than our genetic opportunity, our genetic indications towards a particular decline, disease, whatever in our lives.
Sure. You're exactly right, Emerson. And when I was doing my study on how to, maintain, my health and also improve my health, you want to maintain your health when you come out of a open heart surgery and 4 bypasses, but then you want to start focusing on how can I get better and better and better. And, a lot of people talk about, eating organic, but here again, with the depletion of the minerals and vitamins in the soil, then to put salt on the wound, what about the acid rain that falls on the crops that gets absorbed into the roots, into the plants that we eat? This is another whammy. It's got to be dealt with. And the cardiologists were talking about studies on having good vitamins and minerals. And these studies right here is the reason why, let me get up there close enough, is the reason why I decided to go with the heart vitamin mineral pack, the heart health pack that I chose. It works extremely well for me. And, and everything that you do, you've got to be prudent, you've got to do your research, and you've got to make the right decision for you. But just like me with my cardiologist, I communicated with my cardiologist and told him what I was doing. I had to get off the statins because the way they were affecting me. I couldn't sleep well at night. I didn't feel good during the day. So I was kind of like backed into a corner. But my point being, always communicate with your doctor.
Sure.
Whether it's a cardiologist, whoever it might be, a specialist, whoever, let them know what you're doing. Because the worst thing you can do is boomerang out on your own like a renegade. And Jeremy, I always shudder when I hear someone, like a guru on TV. I'm not going to mention anyone's name. We know who they are. And they talk about, hey, this product right here, this is the next fountain of youth. And they hold up some product. And people just flog to it blindly. I'm going like, oh my goodness. Because what's good for me may not be good for you. Would you agree with that, Jeremy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, you always want to do your research and use caution. And here's one thing on the flip side of that, though, Jim, is that we have become so ingrained to not accept things that actually used to work for thousands of years. Right now, we've turned more to the fast solution in Western medicine versus the other thing. So I think that just because people thought that when the philosophers and the scientists were saying that the earth was round, they thought they were crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And so don't just dismiss something out of hand either, because there is a lot of, for instance, a lot of these things that you're finding in the supplements for brain health and stuff that are clinically proven, right? Those herbal supplements have been a part of Ayurvedic medicine for 3,000 years.
Oh yeah.
Right. So there's I think that it's very important that people educate themselves and then make a decision for themselves. And one of the things that I've learned in this journey is to take back control of my own health, right? And not to put my health in the hands of somebody else. And I think that's what everybody should do. They should listen to their primary care physician. They should listen to their specialist. They should, do their research, but take control of that health. We're responsible for our bodies, right? At the end of the day, we have the biggest influence on how healthy we are or not.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
We have it's not just the medical community, but also the way that insurance is structured in this country. That's
Absolutely.
another huge part of it. And I'm going to give you a personal example. Just in this past week, my next door neighbor has a 9-year-old daughter that broke her leg in 2 places, or fractured it in 2 places.
Right.
She's 9. She's 9.
Poor thing.
And without going into a lot of the details of that, so she was in the hospital, and one of the things they prescribed was fentanyl. And all of you watching this, fentanyl is one of those things that we've been hearing a lot about on the news, because the smugglers are bringing it over as a heavy duty drug. So she's 9. She's 9 years old. And I tell you what, her insurance will cover every single bit of that. Every bit of that. But guess what? To put her on a nutraceutical type of diet, to get her a wheelchair until she's been out of the hospital for 10 days. Think about this. That's not approvable. So, yeah, you can give her the drugs. What I said earlier, cut, poison, or burn. You can give her the drugs, and that's all covered. All of the hospitalization is covered. All of the things that need to be done, the casting and everything, all of that.
Wow.
But to give her the things to improve it. Wow. Now, will she get physical therapy? Probably, but there are other things that we have to consider. Our lifestyles, the food we eat, the nutrition that we take in, all of these factors are factors in our overall health.
It really is. And we have to discipline ourselves and sometimes deny ourselves, because one of the things that I had to give up that I really loved was candy bars. I love Snickers. And I sent back in 1976, who was it? Guy by the name of Gross, I can't remember his first name, had that junk food junkie song, kind of a novelty song. It's really cute, but really a lot of people live their lives like that. They pretend they're, eating healthy and all that. Then at home, when no one knows, they'll, pop a Hostess Twinkie in their mouth, But it really, you've got to be true to your school. If you're very sincere about your health, you've got to make a commitment to yourself. And Jeremy, I like what you said about a week or 2 ago, something about if someone has a headache, they take like a Tylenol. And the reason they take a Tylenol is for the headache. It's not because they had a low level of Tylenol in their body. And that is the way that we have been trained to think. And I have relatives that if it's not prescribed, if it's not a prescription, a bona fide prescription, then it can't be good. And that is not true. That is not true at all.
No,
it really
absolutely. Isn't. And a lot of that is actually very much focused in the United States, to be honest. A lot of other countries, they reimburse for natural medicine treatments.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
In Canada, many natural medicine doctors who are not allopathic doctors are able to submit to insurance companies in Canada for reimbursement of different modalities in natural medicine. In Europe, it's very common. In India, almost the majority of the population is all treated by natural medicine doctors. They're all treated by Ayurvedic practitioners. And so that is something that seems to be very Western philosophy. To do that. I think there's some downsides to that that have harmed us. And we instead in traditional Western medicine, the modern medicine, we're focused on a diagnosis. And just as you were mentioning, I mentioned before, if you have a headache, the doctor says take an ibuprofen or a Tylenol. Well, was your body deficient in ibuprofen or Tylenol? No.
Right.
So instead of treating what's causing the headache,
you're treating the symptom.
We're doing it. So it's the same thing. We have a rash of thyroid deficiency in this culture, right? So many people that I talk to, so many women, especially, are diagnosed with Hashimoto's or some other, thyroid dysfunction. Well, what do? We give them thyroid hormones to take, and we tell them they have to take them for the rest of their life. but we
That's right.
never looked to address the issue of why is their thyroid not producing enough hormone. Or, there's T3 and there's T4, and you need T4 to convert to T3. And so there's different chemicals in the body that actually allow that conversion to take place. And so instead of going, well, why are they not converting to T3, or why, we just give them a substitute, but then that throws out their entire hormonal balance of their body, right? And guess what? Hormones are needed in your brain.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you a classic example of how things were so backward for a long time, and I'm going to turn it over to Emerson and let him talk a little bit about some of the things of interest to him that he would like to share with you folks out there. When I came back from Vietnam, I had a neck injury that I suffered over there. And it really didn't bother me a whole bunch, but after I got back to the States, it started bothering me, and I went on sick call. And they gave me muscle relaxers. Well, all a muscle relaxer does is just, someone asks you what time it is, you go look at your watch, you go, it just really slows the mental process down. And so I wanted to go to a chiropractor because my father had positive experiences with a chiropractor. But if I did, that was on my own.
Right.
And when I told the Army doctors what I was going to do, they looked at me like I was going to go out to see somebody that's got chicken bones around their neck and, some type of, really, they had no respect for them. And I went there and he said, yeah, this is what your problem is. You'll be sore for a few days and crack, okay, good. You're good to go. Give me a full adjustment. I felt great, got over it. My point being, I was talking to a good friend of mine, and now the VA is they've already started to bring in chiropractors and homeopathic type of doctors. They're recognizing them. They are appreciating them for what they bring to the party. And Emerson, in your experience, I know that you've been very well taken care of, and I know it really made you feel good when you said, hey, Doc, I want to improve my brain health. My brain's been through a lot. And for him to go through those items there and just really gave you blessed assurance that you were doing the right thing. How did that make you feel?
Well, in a lot of things, I've taken vitamins and I have a healthy diet and things like that. One thing I can say is vitamins typically will really make me nauseous. I have to take it with food and things like that. These don't, that's one tremendous benefit. But for him to validate it, and I have to say this, I have a doctor. He's a young guy. He's originally, his family is from India, but he is really, really focused on providing the best, not just the best health and treatment and suggestions, but if I ask him a question, he'll research it and get back to me in a couple of days if he doesn't know the answer. And I appreciate that about him because and I wish this for every one of our viewers. I wish that you may have you may have medical professionals who treat you like an individual, who treat you with respect as well, who treat you as though you have you have a little bit of sense and knowledge, and especially those of you who are older that you've lived life and have learned a few things along the way, and that you're not just a stupid, person that hasn't been through all the training they have.
Oh yeah.
So he's done research and gotten back to me on more than one occasion, and I appreciate that. So when he looks at this and begins going down each one of these items in a list, and these items are nutraceutical, are vitamins and minerals that are oriented towards improving our brain health. He began going down and itemizing different ones that he was seeing and commenting on, this is good for this aspect. This is good for the white matter in your brain. This is good for the gray matter in your brain. This is good for your synapses. This is good. And he began going down all of that for me.
Wow.
And so that was powerful. if not to take just another half minute here
Sure.
to comment on something you were saying, Jim, having to do with chiropractic. I have great honor for chiropractors.
Mm-hmm.
I fell off a fence. Many of those of you who've watched our show for the last several years may have heard this story before, but I fell off a fence when I was 10, and I started getting these sickness spells. Well, my head would be pounding. I'd be nauseous, and I didn't know what was going on. And what I was given during that time, you mentioned some of the heavy duty drugs there, Jim. I think you mentioned fentanyl.
Yeah.
Which, little dog trail here. I just yesterday found out that our neighbor's 9-year-old granddaughter fell off of a playground equipment
Mm-hmm.
and broke or fractured 2 bones in her leg that
Yeah.
are in the growth zone of her leg.
Mm-hmm.
Fentanyl was one of the things they were giving to her in the hospital.
Mm.
And yet to get a wheelchair for her,
Mm-hmm.
when she gets home, she has to wait 2 weeks.
Mm.
So some of it just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I was given heavy duty drugs. I was given muscle relaxers,
Oh yeah.
Flexeril. I was given Darvon and other very heavy duty things. And I was 10 years old when this happened.
Good
And
gracious.
all the way up until the time I was about 30 years old. And it was a chiropractor who, another freak set of circumstances. But anyway, a friend of mine insisted on taking me to his chiropractor. And my first wife was a nurse, so I didn't really have a great deal of respect for chiropractors at that point.
Mhm.
But he took care of that issue, and he sized it up, and he said, you get migraine headaches, don't you? I said, nobody's ever said I had migraine headaches. He said, and he began to describe them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I had been being treated for with muscle relaxers and painkillers from the time I was 10 for over 20 years, he began working and adjusting and tweaking and changing and approaching what was causing that problem, not just saying, oh, your body's having a deficiency, like you said, Jim, of Tylenol. You're having a deficiency of fentanyl. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Your body has a deficiency of Flexeril. That's what you need. So yeah, there's a balance there. And treating the symptom, that's a high priority early on. But then what can we do that addresses the underlying causes in a way that helps us to improve? Not just deal with it, but to improve.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. And Jeremy, in your case there, you got your diabetes under control to the point that you're no longer considered diabetic.
That's right.
Yeah. And just share with the audience, a little bit about your journey there, and because you had a couple other issues. You had the burning in your feet. What's that called?
Neuropathy.
Yeah. And my goodness, that was just painful. And you were just kind of like, well, this is what we're going to do. And I'm going to let you share the story there.
And you're type 2 diabetic, yes?
Type 2.
Yeah, type 2 had peripheral neuropathy.
Yep.
And, Western medicine, my doctor, and if you Google it, it says that you can't reverse neuropathy, right? That nerve damage is done. And so, I was put on one medication for the pain, and that wasn't working. So then I was put on stronger medication for the pain. And I was told that, I would have to, I could, if I got my blood sugar under control, that I could stop the progression of my neuropathy to where it's at now. But I would still need to take higher doses of pain medications because my body become tolerant to it. And in order to have the same effect, I'd have to be taking higher doses, which honestly, just the diagnosis of diabetes by itself, but that alone, it also brings about with it a very high level of depression. that goes with it, because the fact is that I was being told, and so many other people are being told, that there's not really hope for you.
The new normal. This is
Yeah,
your new normal.
right. Just get used to it. And it was miserable. I mean, I'd wake up in the middle of the night crying, and I'd sneak off to the bathroom so I didn't wake my wife up, and I'd cry in there. I'd be sitting on the couch at night, watching television, and have tears running down my face because it just hurt so bad.
For those of you who don't know the term neuropathy, those of you who have experienced it know it's been described by people as electrical shock, as fire, as shards of glass in the extremities of the body. And one of the things about diabetes is it's a degenerative disease. We think of it, you had too much sugar, you like desserts too much, or you're that. But diabetes is more than that, and it's a degenerative disease that attacks every single system in your body. The nervous system is one of those systems, and it creates this false sense transmitted to your brain that your feet or your hands or whichever part of your body is affected are on fire, that they're having things shoved into them, and it's very debilitating. It's very distracting and debilitating.
It's one of the worst types of pain. Nerve pain is horrendous. And you're exactly right, Emerson. I mean, Jim's heard me explain it that way many times. It literally felt like somebody was holding a blowtorch to the bottom of my feet.
I've heard that too.
And that's how I always kind of explained how it was. And that is an awful feeling. And then to be told that it's irreversible, that it'll always be like that. I mean, it's like, there's no hope, right?
Get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad that I found a natural nutraceuticals, some natural supplements that have really, really changed my life. I've been able to get off of, and this is another one of those examples, right? So we give diabetics all these different medications. One of the first things, I was diagnosed in 2012. I think it was like in 2013. The American Diabetic Association recommended that all diabetics, once they're diagnosed, get put on a statin medication to control cholesterol, regardless of whatever the cholesterol level is, right? So I go see my doctor. I was aware of it because I get the emails from the American. I said, hey, do I need to go on a statin because this is what they're saying now? Yep. So I've been on a statin all my life. I've never once had high cholesterol. Never in my entire life have I had high cholesterol. I was put on a blood pressure medication. I've never once had high blood pressure ever, but it's to relieve any pressure on my kidneys, right? And so they give you blood pressure medication. But my blood pressure's never been a problem. And so we throw all of these things, we call it prophylactic, right? And so the thought process is that so many diabetics die of the comorbidity of heart disease. They get heart disease because of their diabetics. So we're just going to help to try to prevent that heart disease by putting them on treatments for things that they don't have. And so the problem is that all of those have issues too. You realize that cholesterol is like a hormone produced by the liver. Your body actually needs cholesterol. It needs it to produce and to do a lot of the different bodily functions, right?
Yeah, that's why they say good cholesterol, bad cholesterol.
Yeah, exactly.
We start messing with those hormonal balances, right? People think about vitamin D. I need to take vitamin D. Well, vitamin D is actually a hormone, right? And so it's actually in the body, and you have to have that to process a lot of different functions in your body, right?
And you get it by being out in the sun. Your body takes it in and processes it.
Except for here's the problem. The problem is that we don't run around naked. Well, maybe that's not a problem, but we don't. So we're not getting enough sun. First of all, we have the seasons, and just having our faces exposed to the sun is not enough, right? Our skin is our largest organ. It absorbs the rays of those. So most people are deficient in vitamin D in there. Well, vitamin D also goes into line with calcium, right? They go hand in hand. Your body's ability to use calcium is correlated with the level of the vitamin D in your body. So you have to have that. And well, we know the calcium is super crucial for what? It's super crucial for your heart and for your brain health. So all of it is connected in there, right?
And your bone health, your osteo health. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But we tell people drink milk is good for your teeth. Well, no, it's not really good for your teeth. You're not absorbing enough calcium through drinking your milk. You have to be getting it in your diet.
Gotta love those marketing campaigns, Jim.
Exactly. And you nailed it, Emerson. That's exactly what it is.
Milk?
Yeah.
Do any of you young folks out there, I'm talking to us baby boomers, do you remember hearing about the 3 square meals a day?
Oh, yeah.
And I did some research on that many years ago, and I found out there was not one doctor or one dietitian involved in that decision. It was all business people, people who had cattle, people who had ranches, people who had, who had very close relationship with politicians. Let me put it to you like that. They're the ones that came up with that 3 square meals a day. And, I just want to say very quickly, if anyone would like to get in touch with Jeremy and have any specific questions about what he went through with diabetes and neuropathy, I'm looking for his email address here. I'll find it in just a moment. And it's somewhere amongst this list here, but please get in touch with Jeremy, because I know he would be glad to talk to you about it. Here it is. Jeremy's email is at jeremy@yourbizprofitscoach.com. And also with Emerson, if you would like to know what he's doing there with brain health and all that, please get in touch with him. His email address is web3, you see it right there, web3 at web3direct.com. Both of these gentlemen would be glad to share information with you on their journey, what they're doing, what their doctor said, and they will provide information to you with no obligation whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And that's just the way that we roll. And of course, with yours truly, if you want to know anything about, what I went through with the heart and how my journey of finding good vitamins and dandelion tea, and as soon as it starts working on my brain, I'll let you know, because that's obvious. There's a lot of improvement there. But just reach out to us here at
What happened to that great vinegar, man?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's the name? What's the name of it, Mama?
Apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar.
No, yeah. What's the name of the?
Oh,
the mother.
Oh yeah, Tough Mother.
Yeah, that's it.
Tough Mother, yeah.
Tough Mother.
Yeah, she's still got a great product and all that. But doing my research, see, like good vinegar that Tough Mother has is good for your health. Period. But being a heart patient, having heart disease, having open heart surgery, I had to take my game up a little bit.
I'm drinking vinegar right there.
There you go. Yeah. But just give us a message here at inspiration at e360tvlive.com, and our staff will get it and just put in heart disease,
whatever. Let us know you heard it on the show.
Oh, yeah. And any
Jim,
information that we cover here, if you just send us there, I'll make sure Jeremy or Emerson gets to it. Our staff will.
That's probably the best way, yeah.
We will definitely, give you the best information that we can, that we've researched it all. Some of the research that I did, and I know Jeremy did, was weeks. Emerson has been doing research for months, And so if you'd like to, to cut out all the time and just go down, okay, what did you find? Give me the meat and potatoes. Be like Sergeant Friday. Just the facts, ma'am, for you older folks there, The Sergeant Friday on Dragon.
I think, Jim, that you brought up a good point, and Emerson being in marketing, you'll recognize this too. I'm sure, but part of the issue with the majority of our health problems, especially in the Western side of the world, is that we have emotionalized food, right? You look at all the commercials for different things. The marketing is designed to elicit emotions, right? We're not looking at our diet as nutrition for our bodies. We're instead trying to make it an emotional experience. And you look at all the top chefs, all the different cooking shows. they talk about you wanting to make the person eating it to feel an emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem with that is that we're always chasing emotions, so we're always chasing food, and we're not looking at our diet as our medicine, right? Our
Oh, yeah.
nutrition is our medicine,
Yeah.
and so we've taken what God or the universe or whatever you believe in has designed food for, right? It's simply for building the building blocks of our bodies, for the nutrition of our bodies and helping us. And we've created it about an experience. And so therefore we're always trying to have these fabulous experiences, which means we're always eating, right? And we're not eating the things that are necessarily the best stuff for us. So I think if we can begin to try to look more often at our food for what it really is designed to be, right? Or we learn to rewire our brains to think of healthy and nutritious food as an enjoyable emotion, so that we want to do it more, we'll be a lot healthier. But what you ingest, it's important for you. I know today's topic is brain health, right? But you can't escape what you're putting into your body. You can't divide that away from your brain health, and your brain health is dependent upon the toxins and the nutrition and your hormonal balances and stress. And the good news is that through the study of neuroplasticity, we know that there's hope if you've had some kind of trauma to your brain, or if you've had cognitive decline, that we can actually train your brain to rewire those synapses and the neurons so that you can come back to function, right? The stroke patient that's had trauma to the brain, the body was designed to heal itself. That's the way we're created, is to heal itself. That's why sleep is so important, because when you go into that deep REM sleep, that's when your body says it's time to heal all the stuff that happened today, right? And it begins to heal your body. But by taking the right supplements, getting good oxygen, drinking lots of water, addressing the other issues in your body, you can help your brain, right, to heal itself and become stronger, and you begin to reverse some of those stuff. There's hope. We don't have to just suffer with. So many people know family members that have Alzheimer's or dementia, right? Let's start doing those things today to help to slow that down, or to prevent that from happening, because it's it's the study of epigenetics, right? It's we can influence the expression of our genes. We can influence the expression of our genes. I want you to get that. What you do influences how those genes express themselves.
Yeah, and the individual things that we eat are one part of it. They affect our DNA, which affects our RNA, which affects the hormones and the proteins that are built in the cells, and a massive number of those are related to our brain chemistry.
That's right.
And to our brain health, and to all of the things that make us who we are, and how we think, and how our memory is, and how our emotions are, and all of these things are all tied up in that. And our body chemistry, everything that you take in, it's not just food.
Right.
It's food that is built up of building blocks of minerals and nutrients and chemicals, and you name it. And every single one of those triggers certain sensors in your DNA, your RNA, in your cells, and in what those cells do for the rest of your body.
And I heard it described like this. I really like this, because I was talking to Dr. Norbert Jadisi, and he was explaining how your body has a unique ability. He says, picture you going to a fruit stand, and you'll go in and you will pick and choose the fruits and vegetables that you want. And I said, yeah, that's true. He says, your body has that same unique ability. It knows what it needs. So if you give it the right amount of produce, fruits and vegetables and whatever, it will go in and it will shop and just pick what it needs. And what it doesn't need, it just goes down the digestive system. And I remember, I want to share a little story about Evelyn's grandmother. She was a wonderful lady. She gave birth to 12 kids at home.
Wow.
Yeah. She never had any female problems. She
Didn't have
always,
time for them.
yeah, and yeah, exactly. And she always, ate fresh produce, and she loved her teas. She had all these different type of teas. And, guys, we were young enough and dumb enough because she would say, oh, in the afternoon, I love my teas because they pick me up and they feel good. It was, she's getting high off her teas, ha ha. We were the dummies.
Oh, God.
Because the teas were very high in oxalic acid,
Yep.
which creates strength. It also attacks abnormal cells like cancer and arthritis and things of this nature. But my point being, she was able to treat her body and give her body that full produce stand so her body could pick and choose what it needed to maintain good health. 12 kids at home. She gave birth at home. No female problems, no major health issues. She lived well into her 90s, and that's pretty respectable there. It really is. But she lived a life, and all the way up until her heart and stuff started to fail, she never lost her wisdom. She never lost her mental ability to talk, carry on a conversation. Her memory was never affected. That's what we're talking about here, because if your body is a processing center, it is not a recycling center. And I'm so glad that Emerson has got a good source of of brain health there to be able to help his brain.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I may need to get on that myself. Anything up here would be improvement from me.
And here's the thing, guys. So we talk about. I take supplements. I don't have any brain issues that I know of, other than maybe being a fool sometimes, right? I don't have any brain issues. I don't have any heart issues, but I'm still taking those nutraceuticals. I'm taking the ones for my brain, for my heart, and for my gut, because I know they're all connected.
Yeah.
And I want to do whatever I can to make sure that I am taking the most logical steps to prevent those things in the future, because I want to live long, but I want to live happy, and I want to live healthy. And here's the thing. The average, this is another thing that I learned last week, the average lifespan in the U.S. is about 77 years old. The average health span is about 63.
Wow.
That means that between 63 and 77, most people are living very unhealthy lives and are struggling with medical issues. I want to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can to prevent those things from happening. And the reason why I say that is because I don't want our viewers to think, well, I need to take this stuff once I have a brain issue, or once I have a heart attack, or once I get diagnosed with diabetes. We want you to not ever have to deal with those, if at all possible.
Because prevention, I've heard it said, and I think you have too, Jeremy, prevention is much better than intervention.
Yep.
It really is. And it's also a lot cheaper too, because you're able to maintain a level of health. It really is.
Oh, absolutely.
And to live your life to the fullest,
Yes, that's very important, because when I was recovering, there was a lot of things I wanted to do, but I, couldn't do it. Just didn't have the energy, didn't have the strength, and just limited until I was able to heal. And, just being physically limited is something that I don't, it don't set well with me. Especially a guy that's been on the go all of his life, a guy that served 31 years in the military, a guy that's, owned his own business and manufacturing business, getting up early, working late, working on weekends, yay, routine, keep charging. Then all of a sudden, I can't even get in my car and go pick up a candy bar or anything like that. That's a wake up call for us. It really is. And all of the products that we researched, they got a proven track record, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. Clinically proven. And that's an important thing to look for as well. There's a lot of different nutraceutical products out there, vitamins, minerals that you can buy at the store, but most of them don't have any kind of clinical, that particular brand is not changed. So they're not all formulated the same. That's one thing to keep in mind, that you could buy a vitamin B supplement from one company and vitamin B supplement for another, and they're not the same.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the same absorbability or bioavailability once you take those supplements. So, it's important that you do your research, and I love the fact that ours are clinically proven and patented, the processing procedure is patented. I think that's important.
It really is,
I
because
think they all are grown domestically too. They all are grown here in the U.S.
Yeah, all of our
sourced.
All of our products here are manufactured right here in the United States. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing because, like in the cardiologists, when I was studying them, and they were talking about vitamins and minerals, several of them pointed out that all the vitamins and minerals that you see, they may have the same name, but they're not created equal.
Yeah.
They're just not. Sure. And so that's why they recommended, do the research on the company. Buy only from a reputable company. Make sure the quality is there. And I get a kick out of this, the blue pill they send for men, Viagra, whatever. And then you see these ads come in. I never did use it or anything, but these ads come in where you can buy it cheaper here, cheaper there, cheaper there. You get what you pay for. That's one of the things that my mom always taught me. Son, you always get what you pay for. Yeah. And good and well it can't be the same quality for a dime to a dollar, just no way. But my goodness, we're about out of time, ain't we?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
We ought to go another couple hours on this. But really, be sure and get in touch with us, because if you have any questions about how Jeremy dealt with his diabetes and how he communicated with his doctor, which is important. The same thing with Emerson, with his journey with his brain injury, traumatic brain injury, or me with my heart, please let us know. We'll be glad to share information to you. We'll give you the information we have at our fingertips. You can do the research yourself, talk with your doctor, and then you can make the right decision for you. On behalf of Emerson and Jeremy, I want to thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. We sincerely hope that you and your loved ones are healthy, happy, and blessed in all areas of your life. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, same station, and we're going to be talking about other good health issues, because health and wellness is important for all of us. Have a good day. Bye-bye.